Hi there. Welcome to Sleep Stories Universe. You made it to the end of the day. Get comfortable, however your body wants to rest right now. There's nothing you need to do, nothing you need to figure out. I'll keep you company with a calm story, a little science, a little wonder, and a lot of quiet. Tonight, we're traveling to the coldest, most silent continent on Earth. A place where, at the very bottom of the world, the sun goes down and doesn't rise again for months. If you stay awake, that's perfectly fine. And if you start to drift off, that's fine too. All right, let's begin, nice and slow. Our journey is called Antarctica, the continent where the sun disappears. We'll move through a landscape of endless ice, slowly, with nothing to reach and nowhere to be. This story stands on its own. There's nothing you need to have heard before. Everything you need, we'll carry together, one step at a time. It's also the beginning of a new journey here on Sleep Stories Universe. And if you've traveled with us before, through the deep ocean, or out among the black holes, welcome back. We begin somewhere new, and just as quiet. A small, honest note before we go. There's a great deal we know about this place, measured carefully over many long winters. And there are things we still don't know, questions waiting at the edge of the ice. When we reach those, I'll say so, softly, and we'll let them stay open. That 6 months of night, for instance, is true right at the very bottom of the world, at the South Pole. As you move away from it, the long darkness grows shorter. We'll hold the certainty and the mystery side by side. You don't have to keep any of that. Let it drift past like falling snow. So let your shoulders drop. Let the room go quiet. And let's begin our journey south. Without hurry, without expectation, and almost without a sound. A continent buried in ice. That's where we're going. There's no need to picture any of it perfectly. You can let the images arrive however they arrive. Half-formed soft at the edges, or not at all. There's no test at the end of this. If your thoughts wander off somewhere warm and far away, that's perfectly fine. I'll keep going, softly, and you can come back whenever you like. Maybe take one long breath before we begin. In through the nose, and then a slow, easy breath out. We have the whole night ahead of us, and we're going to spend it moving at an unhurried pace across a very large and very calm place. You can let your body grow heavy against whatever is holding it right now. That's all you need to do. So let's start with something simple. Let's start with how big this place is. Antarctica is the 5th largest continent on Earth. It's larger than all of Europe and close to 1.5 times the size of the United States. That's more land than anyone can really hold in their mind at once, so there's no need to try. You can just let it be big. It's a size that's hard to feel from a map, because a map flattens it into a small white shape along the bottom edge, down where the lines on a globe crowd together and the eye tends to slide right past. But out there, it isn't small at all. It's the kind of place you could lose whole countries inside of and never notice they were gone. Most of us carry a small picture of Antarctica somewhere in the back of the mind. A bright rim at the bottom of the globe, a place of snow and white distance. That picture isn't wrong exactly. It's just far too small. Imagine setting out to cross it on foot. You could walk for a long time, steadily, one step after another, and the view ahead of you would barely change at all. The same pale horizon, the same soft ground, a place so wide that it seems to slow down time itself simply by refusing to end. And here's the hushed part of it. Nearly all of that land is hidden. About 98% of Antarctica is covered by a single continuous sheet of ice. Not a scatter of separate glaciers, not a handful of frozen lakes. One connected mass, the largest body of ice anywhere on the planet. Everything else lies beneath white, and not white like a fresh snowfall in a garden. White like a lid, a cover that has rested over this land in one form or another for far longer than it's easy to imagine. Let yourself picture it for a moment. Not the way a photograph shows it, but the way it might feel to stand there. You're somewhere near the middle of this place. You turn, without hurry, all the way around, and in every direction, it's the same. A pale, endless surface, reaching out until it meets a pale sky somewhere far away so softly, so gradually, that you can't quite find the line where the ground ends and the air begins. No trees anywhere, no green hills, no roads, no fences, nothing that points the way toward anywhere else. Only a vast and even quiet, stretching further than your eyes will ever follow. If you knelt down and pressed a hand to the surface, the cold would rise up to meet you, clean and sharp and completely soundless. And when you stood again and looked out, the view would give almost nothing back. No edge to fix your eyes on, no sense of near or far, only that same wide white, holding steady all the way out to where it meets the sky. There's nothing you need to do with that. You can simply stand inside it and let it rest, and let your own breathing settle to meet it. And it's old. Not old the way a building is old, or even the way a forest is old. This ice has been here, gathering and deepening, over a stretch of time so long that our usual words for time don't quite reach it. You don't have to measure it or hold any number anywhere. You can just feel it. The sense of resting on something ancient and patient, a presence that was here long before anyone and asks nothing of you now. And it's far. That's part of what makes it feel the way it does. This is about as far from everyday life as anywhere on Earth gets. A long way from the nearest city, the nearest road, the nearest warm-lit window with someone moving around inside. Out here, there is none of that. Only the wide surface, the thin, cold air, and the enormous calm of a place that carries on night after night, whether or not a single person is there to see it. And tonight, in your own quiet way, from wherever you happen to be resting, you get to visit it. Quietly, and from a great distance, without ever leaving the warmth you're in. Now, here's something that's easy to miss. All of that ice is not a thin frosting laid over the land. It runs deep. There is so much of it that Antarctica holds around 90% of all the ice on Earth. And along with it, most of the fresh water on the whole planet, held right there on the surface, locked quietly away in frozen form. Sit with that for a moment, and then let it go. Most of the world's fresh water, kept in one frozen, soundless place, far from nearly everyone alive. And because the ice is piled so high, heaped up over the land across long ages, Antarctica turns out to be the tallest continent on average. Its surface sits, on the whole, a couple of thousand meters above the sea, somewhere around 2,300 meters up, taken across the continent as a whole. One way to think about it is this. You're not standing on low, flat ground at the edge of an ocean. You're standing near the top of an enormous, slow dome, a mountain's worth of ice spread wide over an entire continent, with you resting somewhere on its pale shoulder. And up there, you would feel it. The air is thinner than the air most people live in, and colder, and drier too. Each breath comes a little shallower, a little softer. Sound doesn't travel the way it does back home because there's so little around to carry it. No walls, no leaves, no distant hum of traffic. So the silence isn't only the absence of noise, it's something in the air itself. A thinness, a hush that seems to belong to the place and to have belonged to it for a very long time. You breathe in, you breathe out, and even the sound of your own breath feels as though it's coming from somewhere far away. You don't have to keep any of that. Let it go out onto the slow, cold air. There's one more thing to rest with tonight, and it's the thing that has been underneath all of it, the whole time. Beneath all that ice, under the whole enormous weight of it, there is land. Real land. If you could somehow lift the ice away and set it gently aside, you wouldn't find an empty white nothing underneath. You'd find a continent made of rock, with wide plains and deep valleys, with long ranges of mountains, and even islands around its edges. All of it simply resting out of sight, beneath the ice that lies on top. A whole hidden country of stone tucked away where almost no one ever looks. Let your mind sink down through the ice for just a moment, without needing to arrive anywhere. Past the bright surface, down into the blue, and then into the dark, all the way to where the ice finally meets the stone. And there, in the cold and the deep hush, are mountains that no one has ever climbed, valleys that no eye has ever seen, a landscape holding perfectly quiet in the dark, exactly as it has for a very, very long time. And there is one range down there with a name. They are called the Gamburtsev Mountains, and they were found by a Soviet expedition in the year 1958, not by seeing them, but by listening for them, through the ice. They run for something like 1,200 kilometers across the middle of East Antarctica. Sharp peaks, deep valleys, a landscape so like the European Alps that the scientists who mapped it said so out loud. And every bit of it lies under as much as 3 kilometers of ice. No one has ever seen them. No one has ever stood on them, or photographed them, or brought back a single stone. We have carried rocks home from the surface of the moon. We have never held a piece of the Gamburtsevs in our hands. They have been down there, in the dark and the cold, keeping their shape, for longer than there have been mountains anywhere else that we would recognize. And they will still be down there tomorrow, and the day after, whether anyone ever reaches them or not. And some of that stone is tall enough to rise all the way through. A great chain of mountains, called the Transantarctic Mountains, runs right across the continent and divides it into 2 uneven halves. A larger side, known as East Antarctica, and a smaller side, West Antarctica. So even the buried land has a shape to it, a wider half and a narrower one, with a long spine of rock running between them, only its highest peaks lifting above the surface of the ice, like the tops of something enormous just beginning to show. There's something restful in that. A place can be almost entirely hidden and still be whole. It holds its mountains, keeps its shape under all that white, and never needs anyone to come and see them. Nothing out there is waiting to be noticed. It simply is what it is, in the cold and the calm, whether we happen to be watching or not. An entire continent, buried and yet completely there beneath a blanket so thick and so old that from far above, all you would ever see is a soft, unbroken white. And everything will wander toward in the nights to come. The deep cold, the winds that fall from the sky, the long stretches of darkness, the faint lights that come and go far overhead. All of it happens up here, on the surface of that blanket, on top of a hidden land that almost no one has ever laid eyes on. Over the nights ahead, we'll come to know this surface slowly, the way the cold settles into it, the way the wind moves across it, the way the light comes and goes with the turning of the seasons. There's no hurry to any of that. Tonight, we only needed to arrive, to stand here for a while and feel how large and how quiet this place is, and let the sheer size of it settle the mind, the way a wide, calm view sometimes does. For tonight, that's plenty. A continent larger than Europe, buried beneath a single sheet of ice, and underneath it, quietly, a whole world of rock, resting, unmoving, and going nowhere at all. It was there long before anyone, and it will be there long after. Tonight, you are only passing through. The last sunset. Not the last one ever, of course, just the last for a good long while. The kind of sunset you'd see if you stood at the very bottom of the world and watched the sun sink down toward the edge of everything, and somehow knew, as it went, that it wouldn't be back for months. We're still in that same wide, calm place from before. The same pale surface, the same enormous silence. Only now we're going to think about something that happens to the light here, something that makes this continent stranger, and more still, than almost anywhere else on Earth. So let's follow the sun for a while as it goes. A sunset is such an ordinary thing most evenings. The light turns warm and low, the day winds down, and underneath it all is a quiet certainty we hardly ever notice, that tomorrow the sun will be back. We build our whole lives on that small promise. We sleep through the few hours of night and wake again to the light, over and over, without ever really doubting it will be there. But there is one place on Earth where that everyday certainty gently comes undone. In most places you've ever lived, the sun comes up in the morning and goes down in the evening, and it does that again and again, one day after another, the way a heartbeat keeps its time. But at the very southern tip of the planet, right at the South Pole, the sun keeps a completely different kind of schedule. There, it rises only once and sets only once in an entire year. One sunrise, one sunset. And around the month of March, at the time we call the equinox, that single sunset arrives. The sun slips lower and lower, and at last it dips below the edge of the world, and then it simply stays there. It does not rise again for about 6 months. Half a year. One unbroken evening, stretching on and on across the whole southern winter. Try to picture the very last of that light. The sun rolling low along the horizon instead of dropping straight down, moving almost sideways, taking its time, in no hurry to leave. The shadows on the snow drawing out longer and longer, thin blue lines reaching far across the ice, and the light itself turning that soft, low color that late evening turns everywhere in the world. Gold and then rose, and then a deep and quiet blue. And the fading is slow. The light doesn't switch off the way a lamp does. When the sun finally slips beneath the horizon at the pole, what follows is not night. Not yet. What follows is weeks of twilight. a long blue dusk that lies along the rim of the world and simply refuses to leave, thinning a little each time the sky comes round, and then a little more. For a while, there is still enough light out there to walk by, then only enough to make out the shape of things, then only a faint, pale glow along one edge of the horizon, like a door left slightly open, somewhere very far away. And then, at some hour that nobody could ever put a date to, that glow goes too. The pole passes out of dusk and into darkness, and much later, back into dawn. And the seams between them are so soft that you could stand there through the whole of it, watching carefully, and never once catch the moment it changed. Except here, that dark doesn't give way to one night and then a morning. Here, it gives way to months. You don't have to keep any of that. Let the picture arrive and settle and fade the way the light itself does. Now, here's the part that's easy to get slightly wrong, and it's worth getting right, gently, because it may be the truest thing about this whole place. Why does the sun leave for so long? It isn't that the sun travels somewhere far away, and it isn't that this part of the earth stops turning. The reason is quieter than that, and simpler. The earth is tilted. It leans a little on its axis as it makes its steady way around the sun each year. And for one half of that journey, the southern end of the planet, the end where Antarctica rests, is leaned away from the sun. Leaned away just enough that, right at the pole, the sun never manages to climb back over the horizon at all. Not for months. The earth simply holds that one spot tipped into its own shadow, unhurried, until the year turns and it begins to lean the other way again. It's a steady, even kind of motion. Nothing sudden, nothing sharp, just an enormous world, leaning gradually through space, carrying a whole continent down into shadow with it, and then, half a year later, carrying it softly back out. You could think of it as the planet leaning, if you like. A long, slow tilt into the dark, and in time, an equally slow tilt back out toward the light. And here is where I owe you the rest of it. That long night belongs, most precisely, to one exact place, the pole itself, the very bottom point of the world. As you move away from that point, out across the rest of the continent, the sunless season grows shorter. The farther you travel from the pole, the less time the sun spends hidden, and the more it comes to behave like the sun you already know. You can hear it in one gentle example. At a research station called Concordia, set high on the inland plateau, but well away from the pole, the sun stays below the horizon for about 4 months of the year. 4 months, not 6. Still an astonishing stretch of unbroken dusk, but a softer measure of the same idea. So the darkness here isn't a single flat blanket thrown over the whole continent all at once. It's more like deep water. It gathers and it deepens the closer you drift toward the very bottom, shallower out near the coasts, deepest of all at that one still point at the pole. A place doesn't simply go dark here. It sinks into the dark, slowly, by degrees. It's a strange thing to imagine, if you let yourself. So much of how we keep time comes from the sun. Morning and evening, waking and resting, the soft rhythm of one day handing over to the next. Take that rhythm away, and time becomes something looser and wider. A single afternoon in a whole week might come to feel much the same. There would be only whatever small rhythms you carried inside you, a meal, a rest, a waking, to tell you that time was moving at all. You might let your own sense of time loosen a little now too. There's nowhere to be tonight, and no hour to keep. Just your breath, coming and going, at whatever pace it likes. And the place itself would give you very little to push against. No hum of traffic, no distant voices, no footsteps in a hallway. Only the enormous hush of the plateau and the cold. It sounds lonely, said plainly like that. And yet, imagined from a warm and resting place like yours, it can feel more like peace than loneliness. The deep, unbothered peace of somewhere the world has simply left alone. And down at the pole, when that winter finally settles in, the place becomes almost impossibly cut off from the rest of us. From the middle of February until the end of October, no aircraft can fly in, and none can fly out. Roughly 8 months. The cold grows too deep, and for much of that time there is no daylight to land by, so whoever is there simply stays, sealed in, until the light returns and the planes can come again. Imagine the quiet of that. A small handful of lights, somewhere out on the ice, glowing against all that shadow. And around them, in every direction, hundreds upon hundreds of miles of unlit snow. No sunrise to divide one day from the next. Only the winter dark and the cold. If you looked up on a clear evening out there, the sky would be like almost nothing you've seen from a city, or even from a quiet field back home, with no sunlight for months and no glow of towns anywhere near. The black overhead turns deep and clean, and the stars come out in numbers that are hard to believe, layered and crowded and faintly bright, all the way down to the edge of the ice. And because you're standing so near the bottom of the world, they don't rise and set the way they do elsewhere. They circle, steadily, evenly, around a single point high above you, turning through the hours like the hands of an enormous silent clock. And through all of it, one thing holds: the slow, certain promise that the light will come back. And it does come back every single year. The earth keeps leaning, the way it always has. The winter reaches its deepest point, somewhere in the heart of the season, and then, with no fuss at all, it begins, very slowly, to ease. The sky starts to pale at its edges. The stars begin to thin and fade. And one day, months after that last sunset, the sun rolls back up over the horizon and rises again for the first time in half a year. And when it does, they say the whole sky seems to change. The long dusk of winter finally lifts. Color seeps back into the air, that first faint band of gold along the horizon, growing a little wider each time the sky comes round, until the sun itself lifts clear and shadows return to the snow. After all that evening, the ordinary miracle of a sunrise must feel like something enormous. But it comes quietly, the way everything comes here, without ceremony, without drama, one pale degree at a time. But that is later. That belongs to the far side of winter. For tonight, we are simply here, somewhere in the middle of the long dark. In the most patient night on all the earth, the sun has set at the bottom of the world, and it will not be back for a while. And that's all right. Nothing is waiting on the other side of it. We can stay here in the quiet, unhurried, and let it be exactly as calm as it truly is. The light will come back on its own, months from now, without any help from either of us. There is no morning you need to wake for. The coldest place on earth. We've been sitting together in the long dark of the southern winter, that half-year night at the bottom of the world. And while that darkness settles in, something else is happening, quietly, all across the ice. It's growing cold. Not ordinary cold. Not even the chill of the hardest winter you've ever walked through. Something far beyond that. Tonight, we're going to sit with that cold for a while. Where it lives, how deep it runs, and why this one place out of everywhere on Earth turns colder than anywhere else. There's nothing alarming in any of it. From where you are, wrapped up warm and comfortable, it's simply a remarkable thing to wonder at, softly, on the way towards sleep. A chill night outside has always made the inside feel softer, so let the two sit together tonight. The great freeze at the bottom of the world, far away, and the quiet warmth around you, close and safe. One only makes the other feel kinder. So, how cold is the coldest place on Earth? The lowest temperature ever directly measured at the surface of our planet was about -89 degrees Celsius, -89.2 to be exact, recorded at a remote outpost called Vostok Station, deep in the Antarctic interior, on a single day in July, back in the year 1983. It was measured right there at the ground with ordinary weather instruments, and it still stands today as the officially recognized coldest temperature in the world. Let that number just rest there a moment, because it's almost impossible to truly feel. -89 degrees. That's far colder than the inside of any freezer you've ever opened. Colder than the summit of the highest mountain. A chill so deep that it isn't really something a body is built to imagine, so you don't need to try. You can simply let it be a kind of marvel, a number from the very edge of what our world is capable of. At temperatures like that, the ordinary rules of a winter's day quietly fall away. Bare skin can't be left bare for long. The chill finds its way into everything. It isn't so much a colder version of winter as a place that plays by its own hushed, unforgiving rules. Lovely to think about from a safe and gentle distance, and simply unlivable to stand in, unprotected. None of which you have to carry, of course. We're only visiting, and only in the mind, from the warmest, safest seat there is. Picture that July at Vostok if you like, though of course, in the southern winter, there is no daytime to picture. No sun for months. A wide, flat plain of ice, high up and utterly quiet, under a sky packed thick with stars. The air so frigid and so dry that every breath would hang in front of you for a moment before it vanished. No wind, no sound, just the deep, patient chill settling over everything, the way frost settles on a window pane. Silently, evenly, and complete. In cold like that, the whole world changes its manners. Sound carries strangely across the ice, thin and far and clear. The snow beneath a boot doesn't crunch so much as squeak, tight and dry. And the air holds a stillness that feels almost solid, as though the chill itself had a gentle weight, and were pressing lightly down on everything, holding it all in place. All of this is only a picture, arriving softly and drifting off again. Now, there's a careful and honest note to add here, and it's a lovely little puzzle actually. You may have heard somewhere an even colder number. Satellites, looking down at Antarctica from space, have found places on the high plateau that appear colder still, down around -98 degrees. That is an astonishing figure. But here is the important difference, said gently. Those satellite readings measure the temperature of the ice surface itself, seen from far overhead, not the temperature of the air, measured at the ground, the way a weather station measures it. The two aren't quite the same thing, and they can't be compared directly. So the official record, the coldest air temperature ever properly measured, still belongs to that July at Vostok. The satellites have simply shown us that, in its very coldest corners, this place can reach even further than we once believed. Both of those can sit side by side without any trouble. A firm, measured record down on the ground, and a hint from high above that the ice keeps colder secrets still. Even now, even with all our instruments, this place holds a little back. It is measured and known, and somehow still just beyond us, the way the coldest, farthest things so often are. Antarctica, taken as a whole, is the coldest continent on Earth, not only at that one record-setting station, but broadly, especially across the interior. Up on the high inland plateau, in the depth of winter, the temperature routinely falls far below -40 degrees and simply stays there week after week as the dark season wears slowly on. So why here? Why does this continent, and this plateau in particular, turn colder than anywhere else on the planet? It isn't any single reason. It's several, layered one gently on top of another. Part of it is height. The interior of Antarctica is high, a vast raised dome of ice lifted far above the distant sea, and the higher up you go, the colder the air tends to become. Part of it is distance. The deep interior lies a very long way from any ocean, and the ocean, everywhere else in the world, works like a great slow radiator, holding on to warmth and giving it up only gradually. Out here, that softening, steadying influence is simply too far away to reach. You feel that influence every day, most likely, without ever noticing it, the way a town beside the sea rarely turns as bitterly cold or as fiercely hot as a place far inland. Water is generous with warmth. It shares it slowly and holds it long. But the heart of Antarctica lies about as far from that patient water as anywhere on Earth can be, and so it is left to the full, undiluted reach of the cold. Part of it is the air itself, so clear, so dry, and so still, that whatever little warmth the ground holds radiates straight upward and escapes into space, with nothing to hold it in. And part of it, of course, is that long night we've already spent time in, month after month with no sunlight at all to warm the ground below. Put all of those together, high and far and clear and dark, and you arrive at the coldest air anywhere on Earth. None of those reasons is dramatic on its own. A little higher, a little farther from the sea, a little clearer, a little darker. But they gather, the way small, quiet things tend to, and together they make something extraordinary. A pocket of our own planet colder than anywhere a person has ever stood. And now the strangest part, the part that took a long time to name. You might expect the cold to build the way a story builds. The sun goes down in March. The dark settles in. And month by month, you'd think, the chill would keep deepening further and further until it bottomed out at the very last moment before the light returned. But that isn't what happens out here. What happens is stranger and quieter. The cold falls fast in the first weeks after the sun goes. It drops and drops, and then, quite suddenly, it stops dropping. It arrives at a kind of floor, a settled, level cold that it cannot go much below. And there, it simply stays. For months, nearly flat, nearly unchanging. Through May, through June, through July, through August, with no real low point anywhere in it at all. There is a name for this. It is called the coreless winter. A winter with no core, no heart, no depth, no single coldest moment to point to. The older German word came first. Kernlos, coreless, a season without a center. Think about what that means for a moment. Everywhere else in the world, winter has a shape. It comes on, it deepens, it peaks, and it eases. There's a worst night somewhere in the middle of it, and everything else is measured against that one. But on the Antarctic plateau, winter has no worst night. It has no shape at all. It falls into place, and then it holds and holds and holds until the light comes back and lifts it. Nothing accumulates out there. Nothing builds toward anything. The cold isn't working its way toward a climax. It reached its resting place months ago, and it has simply been sitting in it ever since, perfectly level, waiting for nothing. And what about that record then? That minus 89.2 on a July night in 1983. If the winter has no low point, where did such a number come from? It came from weather, from a rare alignment of things, all falling into place at once. For 10 days, the air over Vostok went unusually still. The clouds thinned away to nothing at all. The great circling winds of the high atmosphere drifted into just the right position, and no warmer air from the north could reach the station. And with nothing to stir it, and nothing to cover it, the surface simply gave its heat away to the black sky above, night after night, until the thermometer had fallen more than 30 degrees below where a July at Vostok normally sits. 10 quiet days. That was all it took. So the record isn't the bottom of the season. It's a small window that opened in the middle of it, when the sky went perfectly clear and the wind forgot to blow. And then it closed again, and the plateau went back to its long, level, coreless cold, exactly as before. And through all of it, the plateau just lies there, vast and pale and unmoving, the frost building on the frost, and the cold holding everything perfectly, quietly still, as though the whole continent had settled into a deep sleep of its own through the longest, most level night in the world. Nothing moves out there to disturb it. No footsteps, no engines, no warm breath at all, but for a few small lights we'll come to later, scattered impossibly far apart. Only the frozen plain and the deep chill lying over it like a second sky, even and endless and calm. You don't have to keep any of that. Let it fade like a breath in cold air. What's worth keeping is only the feeling of it. A place so cold and so calm and so far from everything that it seems to rest inside a hush all its own. And you get to visit it like this, warm and safe and drifting from the softest possible distance. So notice, if you can, how warm you are right now, set against all of that. The weight of the blanket, the mild, ordinary heat of your own body, quietly keeping you just as warm as you need to be. It's a small thing, that warmth. Out there, it would be the most precious thing in the world. And here, tonight, you simply have it, freely, without a single thing to do. Let the whole picture grow soft now. The plain, the frost, that number at the very edge of imagining. None of it asks anything of you. It's only out there, being cold and calm and far away, exactly as it has been for far longer than we've known how to measure it. And that's enough for tonight. The coldest place on Earth, holding its long, level chill at the bottom of the world, going nowhere, deepening no further, waiting for nothing at all. Nothing out there is building toward anything. There is nothing to arrive at. Wind that falls from the sky. That's a strange thing to say. Wind falling. We don't usually think of it that way. Where most of us live, wind is something that comes at us from the side, moving across the land, pushing through the trees, sliding around the corners of buildings. It arrives. It passes. But here, in this cold and quiet place, there's a wind that behaves differently. It doesn't so much blow toward you as come down. It pours off the high ice and slides toward the sea, like something being tipped, very slowly, out of a great tilted bowl. We're so used to wind as something that simply happens to us, something that blows in from somewhere else, from a storm out at sea, or a front sliding across the map. It comes and it goes, and we rarely stop to ask where it was born. But this wind has a birthplace you can point to. It's made right here on the ice, out of nothing more than cold and height and the patient pull of gravity. And once you know where it comes from, it stops feeling like weather at all and starts to feel like something the land itself is quietly doing, all on its own. Let's take our time with this one, because it's one of the loveliest and simplest ideas in the whole of this frozen world. You'll remember from earlier that Antarctica is high, the tallest continent there is, a great raised dome standing far above the distant ocean. And you'll remember too how frigid that high interior grows. Well, those two things, high and cold, are about to come together and make some of the strongest winds anywhere on Earth. It's a fine thing when two plain facts lean together and quietly explain a third. You don't need to memorize either of them. You can just let them sit side by side for a moment, the height and the cold, and feel how naturally the one leads into the other. Because Antarctica is, in fact, the windiest continent on the planet. Not everywhere, and not always, and we'll come back to that softly in a while. But the winds this place can make are in a class all their own. Here's how they come to be, in the simplest version. Up on that high frozen dome, the air lying against the ice grows bitterly cold, and cold air is heavy. It grows dense, and it settles, and it begins to sink. So this chilled, heavy air starts, very naturally, to slide downhill, drawn by nothing more than gravity, pulled off the height of the continent and down its long slopes toward the coast. That is the whole secret of it. The wind here isn't shoved along by some far-off storm. It falls. You felt a small version of this yourself, most likely, without ever calling it wind. Open a freezer and feel that chilled air spill out and down across your feet. It's a homely little truth, tucked inside something so enormous. The same reason a draft pools around your ankles by an old window is the reason the windiest place on Earth is windy at all. Chilled air sinks. It always has. It simply has a very long way to fall here. There's a name for a wind like this, a katabatic wind. The word just means flowing downward. No drama hidden inside it, no menace. A wind whose whole nature is to sink and slide and follow the slope, the way a stream follows a valley, or the way your own thoughts, right about now, might be starting to drift gently downhill towards sleep. Picture it, softly, if you'd like, not as something violent, but as something almost liquid, Imagine the whole vast dome of the continent and all that heavy frozen air lying across the top of it. And then imagine it beginning, ever so slowly, to spill down the long, easy slopes, gathering as it goes, a quiet, invisible river of chilled air, sliding off the high ice and pouring, mile after mile, toward the far edge of the sea. You couldn't see it at all, but if you stood in its path, you'd feel the whole weight of the continent leaning past you. It would be steady, more than gusty, in the places where it runs strongest. A long, unbroken pressure, chilled and constant, always in the same direction, always downhill, and it would carry the sound of itself. A low and endless rush, the sound of an enormous amount of air all moving the same patient way at once. But you're not standing in it. You're only imagining it from somewhere warm, where the air is soft and still and going nowhere at all. Now, as that current slides down, something happens to it. When it gets funneled into the valleys and channels that run toward the coast, squeezed between long walls of rock and ice, it speeds up. The way a river runs quicker through a narrow gorge, that draining current gathers pace as it is channeled downward, until, in some places, it reaches the coast as a fierce and steady wind. The strongest ever measured came in July in the year 1972 at a station on the coast called Dumont d'Urville. 327 kilometers an hour. That's a remarkable number, and it's worth setting down quietly, because a figure like that can run away with itself. That is the very far edge of it, a recorded extreme in one of the windiest places on one of the harshest days. It isn't what the whole continent feels, and it certainly isn't what it feels most of the time. And here's the proof of that, in one gentle comparison. Go back to the South Pole, where we spent so much of tonight. Right at the bottom of the world, up on the flat of the plateau, far from any slope worth sliding down, the wind is almost mild. The strongest ever recorded there is a little over 90 kilometers an hour, fast enough to lean into. Nothing more. 327 out at the coast, barely 90 at the very bottom of the world. Same continent, same season, same cold. All the difference is in the slope. So the picture isn't one of a whole continent forever screaming with storm. It's gentler and stranger than that. These winds are strongest near the coast and strongest in the deep of winter. Out past the edge of the ice, over the open sea, they ease and fade. And back up in the deep interior, on that high, still plateau where the cold gathers, the air is often surprisingly quiet. A vast, silent center, and chilled air draining slowly off its edges, gathering speed only as it nears the coast and spilling out to sea. Picture it from very high above, the way a satellite might. Not a chaos of weather, but something almost orderly. A pale, motionless dome in the middle. And then, all around its rim, faint unseen streams of it, feeling their way down the slopes and off the edges. The whole continent quietly shedding its cold in every direction at once, and the open ocean beyond, taking it in. From that height, it might even look beautiful, not frightening at all. Take the drama out of it and look at what's actually there. The middle of the continent, holding almost perfectly still, and all around its edges, this slow, patient release. The cold moving out and down and away, off the high ice toward the water. Not an attack, not a fury, only gravity and cold and the long, gentle downhill slide of heavy air happening quietly all the time, whether or not anyone is ever there to feel it. There is nobody out there to be troubled by it, for the most part. No towns lying in its path, no roads for it to close, only the wind and the ice and the dark, carrying on their slow arrangement with one another, exactly as they have for age upon age, asking nothing, needing no witness. A private weather at the bottom of the world. And tonight, we get to visit that private weather the gentlest way there is, from the outside, from far above, from somewhere warm, where all that chill and motion is only an idea, drifting through your mind and then drifting on. You could almost think of the whole continent as breathing, drawing the cold in over the long, dark winter up on the high plateau, and then letting it go, slowly, steadily, sliding it down the slopes and out to the sea, in and then out, season after season, a great, slow, frozen breath, rising and falling like this for far longer than there have been people to notice it at all. And it will go on that way long after tonight, while you sleep and wake and move through all your ordinary days. The cold will keep gathering up on the high plateau and keep sliding down to the sea over and over without pause. Some things simply continue, steady and untroubled, whether we watch them or not. You can let this be one of them. You don't have to keep an eye on it. It will carry on perfectly well without you. That's the soft gift of a place like this. It doesn't need you at all. And so, near it, you're free to need nothing either. For a while. You don't have to keep any of that. The valleys, the slopes, the numbers. Let it all slide away downhill, the way everything does here. What stays is only the shape of it. A wind that doesn't blow so much as fall. Cold air pouring off the roof of the world in the dark on its long, slow way down to the sea. And maybe, as you listen, you can let your own breathing settle into that same easy rhythm. Nothing forced, just slow and low and calm, like chilled air finding the gentlest path down a long and quiet slope. For tonight, that's enough. A windswept edge, a silent center, and the quiet, endless downhill drift of the cold. And you, far away from all of it, warm and unmoving, resting with the idea of a wind you will never have to stand in. And everything out there is still moving in the only direction it knows, slowly and downward and away from the high, cold center of the world, the way it has every hour of every winter for longer than there has been anyone to feel it go by. Whiteout. It's a good plain word for something strange and soft. It's what happens when the world, very quietly, disappears into white. Not a blackout, where the world is hidden in the dark, but a whiteout, where the world is hidden in brightness. Nothing leaves. Everything simply turns, softly, into a single, endless glow. There are two ways this can happen, and they are not at all the same, and it's worth knowing the difference before we choose which one to rest inside. The first is the loud one. A hard wind moving across loose, dry snow will lift it, gathering it up off the ground and filling the air with it until you can see almost nothing at all. That can go on for hours, sometimes for days. At the little stations along the coast, when it gets like that, people who need to move between the buildings will string ropes between the doorways and follow them by hand, holding on, feeling their way from one building to the next, because there are moments when you simply cannot see where you are going. That is real, and it happens, and it is nobody's idea of peace, though even that has a kindness to it from far enough away. A storm is only frightening if you are standing in it. From a warm bed at a distance of thousands of miles, the very same storm turns into a sound to sleep by. But we can do better than a storm tonight. We'll leave that one out there in the wind and let it be. Because there is another kind, a quieter kind. And it doesn't need any wind at all. It happens when a smooth, unbroken sheet of cloud lies over a smooth, unbroken field of snow. No storm, no gale, often barely a breath of air, just cloud above and snow below, and the light passing back and forth between them, over and over, until it has been scattered so many times that it no longer comes from any direction at all. It comes from everywhere at once. And the reason the light behaves that way comes down to something simple about snow. Snow is one of the brightest surfaces anywhere on Earth. Almost all of the light that falls on it is thrown straight back up again, rather than soaked in. So the light coming down out of the cloud strikes the snow and bounces. It rises back up to the cloud and bounces again, down and up and down and up, scattering a little further with every crossing, until the light has lost all memory of where it began. It becomes a light with no source. It has simply been in the room too long. And when light arrives from every direction at the same time, something quietly extraordinary happens. The shadows cancel each other out. Every shadow that might have fallen one way is filled in by light arriving from the other, and then another, and another, until there is no shadow left anywhere. Not under your feet, not behind the smallest ridge in the snow. Nothing in the world is casting one. And without shadows, there are no edges. Without edges, there is no shape. And without shape, the ground and the sky simply reach toward one another and merge, and the horizon, that one faithful line your eyes have been holding onto all your life, quietly stops existing. Pilots have a name for what it feels like to fly into it. They say it is like flying inside a bowl of milk. So let's step into that one, gently. Not the danger of it, not the cold, only the feeling, the white. Imagine the horizon beginning to soften, that line far off where the land has been meeting the sky. Watch it blur, watch it thin, and then watch it simply go. The pale ground and the pale sky reaching toward one another until you can't say any longer where the one ends and the other begins. There is no line. There is no far away. There is only a mild, even brightness in every direction at once. Feel how unusual that is. All your life, your eyes have had edges to work with. The meeting of a floor and a wall, the line of a roof against the sky, the far rim of the sea. Something, always, to measure the world against. And here, all at once, there is none of it. No edge, no mark to tell near from far or large from small. Only a smooth, unbroken glow wrapping all the way around you, closer than the sky and wider than any room. And your eyes will keep looking. That's the strange part. For a while they go on searching, sweeping slowly back and forth across all that pale, hunting for something, anything to fix on. A ridge, a stone, a shadow, a line. They have done this your whole life without ever being asked, and they are very good at it. And out here they will find nothing at all. And then, at some point, they stop. They simply give up the search. And when they do, Something in you loosens that you never knew was tight. There is a great deal of quiet work in always knowing where things are. Out here, for once, that work is not required of you. It isn't dark. That's the surprising thing. A whiteout isn't a darkness at all. It's the opposite. A kind of glowing, colorless pale, like being inside a lamp, or inside a cloud, or inside a single unbroken sheet of the softest paper. You could hold your own hand out in front of you and watch it float there, in the middle of all that brightness, with no background behind it at all. Colors grow quiet too. Not gone exactly, but hushed, drawn toward that same mild brightness, the way the whole world pales in the last minutes before dawn. And there is a strange kindness in a light like that. It doesn't glare, it doesn't dazzle. It is a gentle, shadowless glow, easy on the eyes, the kind of light you could rest inside for a long, long time and never once need to look away. And the sound changes too. Snow is one of the quietest things there is, and a world full of it drinks up noise, softens it, folds it away. Your own small sounds seem to vanish the moment you make them. There's a muffled, padded quality to everything, as though the whole world had been wrapped, very carefully, in something soft. It is the kind of quiet that has a texture to it, not an empty silence, but a full one, a close, cushioned hush, packed all around you like the inside of a snowbank. If you spoke, your voice would come out smaller than you expected, and nearer, and then be gone. And if you simply stayed still and said nothing, you would notice how the hush seems to press in, mildly, from every side, the way a warm quilt settles over you and holds you lightly down. And here is where it becomes truly strange and truly gentle. Without a horizon, without shadows, without anything at all to fix your eyes on, you slowly begin to lose your sense of where you are. Not in a frightening way, not from here. Just, you stop being able to tell how far anything is, whether the ground is near or far, which way is which. Up and down grow loose and uncertain. It's the kind of thing that would matter a great deal if you had somewhere to be. But you don't. Not tonight. There is no direction you need to find. And it isn't only space that softens. Time loosens its hold out here as well. With no sun to cross a sky you cannot see, no shadows sliding slowly around, no distant landmark to pass, there is nothing to mark the minutes by. An hour and a moment begin to feel the same. Time stops pulling you forward and simply pools, quietly, all around you, the way the light does. So you can let all of that go. The whole tiring task of knowing where you are, of keeping track of the world and your place inside it, and which way you're facing, and how far it is to everything. All of that, quietly, you get to set down. If you've ever floated in still water, with your ears just below the surface, you might know a little of this feeling. That soft, held, weightless hush, where the world grows distant and muffled and kind. A whiteout is a little like that, only made of light instead of water. A place with no features and no demands, where there is simply nothing to do but drift. And a whiteout is a little like the way sleep itself arrives. Think about it, softly. As you fall asleep, the room around you begins to lose its edges too. The details blur, the corners soften. The line between you and the darkness, between your thoughts and your dreams, grows gentle and uncertain, until you can't quite say where the waking world ends and the sleeping one begins. Falling asleep is its own kind of whiteout, a gentle dissolving of the world and of the need to keep any track of it, a letting go of up and down and here and there. You've done it 1,000 times, this quiet dissolving. Every night of your life, you have stepped out of the sharp, bright, edged and cornered world of the day and let it soften into something wider and stranger and kinder. You already know the way. Your body remembers it. There is nothing you need to do to make it happen tonight, except to let the edges go, the way the snow lets the horizon go. So maybe you can let this white be that for you tonight. Not a place you are lost in, but a place you are released into. A soft, bright, endless quiet, with no floor to stand on and no walls to hold. So take one slow breath now, if you like, and feel yourself sink, just a little, into wherever you are resting. There is no floor you need to find. Nothing has to hold you up, because there is nothing you could fall from. Only softness in every direction, keeping you exactly where you are. Let the edges of your own thoughts soften now, the way the horizon did. Let the details of the day blur and thin and go. You don't have to hold your place in anything. You don't have to know which way is which. You can let the whole bright, gentle blankness close quietly around you, like snow settling over everything, smoothing it all into one calm, featureless white. Everything you were carrying can rest beneath that snow now. Every list, every worry, every sharp little edge of the day, all of it quietly covered over, softened and stilled, until the whole surface of your mind lies smooth and pale and untroubled, with nothing left sticking up through it anywhere. There is nothing out there to keep watch over. So you can let even the watching go. You don't have to keep any of that. Let it all go under the white. There's nothing out there. And that is the gift of it. Only a soft, even, endless pale, holding you and asking nothing at all. So let the last of it go now. The ice, the dark, the cold, the wind, the white. Let it all settle somewhere far below you and go quiet. And let yourself go the rest of the way down into sleep. The weight of the ice. We've spent this whole night on the surface of this place, the cold that lies on top of it, the wind that pours off it, the white that rises up and swallows it whole. We've stood on the ice and looked out across the ice and felt the thin air above the ice. But now, let's do something a little different. Let's think about the ice itself. How much of it there really is, and how heavy it is. We spend so much time in a place like this, thinking about the surface, because the surface is all we can ever really see. But the surface is the smallest part of the story. Almost everything here is what lies beneath, waiting quietly under our feet in the dark, where we so rarely think to look. So tonight, we look. Gently and without hurry, we're going to let our attention sink below the surface for the first time and feel the sheer, quiet enormity of what has been holding us up all along. You'll remember that almost the whole continent, something like 98% of it, lies buried beneath a single, connected sheet of ice. And you'll remember that this one sheet holds around 90% of all the ice on Earth. That is the spread of it, the width. But we've never stopped to ask how deep it goes, how far down, beneath your feet, the frozen mass would reach if you could stand on its bright surface and somehow look straight down through it. It's a fair question to sit with, Because the answer is not quite what most of us would guess. We tend to imagine ice as a coating, a layer, a thin skin over the land, the way frost coats a window or ice glazes a winter pond. But here, it isn't a layer at all. It's a body, a vast, deep, solid mass with the hidden land we pictured sitting not on top of it, but far, far underneath. So here's the answer, gently. On average, taken across the whole continent, the ice is roughly 2 kilometers thick, a full 2 kilometers of nothing but ice. And in places, it reaches far deeper than that. In the very deepest spots, the ice runs down almost 5 kilometers. Let that settle for a moment. Nearly 5 kilometers of ice in a single vertical column. That is deeper than most mountains are tall. If you could take one of the great peaks of the world and turn it upside down and press it down into the ground, you would have something like the depth of the ice in those places. A whole mountain's worth of ice, reaching into the dark, quietly, where no light has ever reached and no eye has ever looked. Stand anywhere on that surface, in the deepest regions, and the ground beneath your boots isn't a few steps away. It's kilometers away. Further beneath you than the tallest tower you have ever seen is tall, an entire hidden world of frozen depth, reaching from the bright skin at the top all the way down to the buried rock at the bottom, and every bit of it silent and solid and still. It's hard to picture, and you don't need to, but you might just feel the size of it for a second. Everything we've spoken of so far, the cold, the wind, the whiteout, all of it has been happening on the very top, on the thin, bright skin of something enormous. And underneath that skin, going down and down and down, is the frozen mass itself, kilometers of it, still and dark and ancient and heavier than almost anything you could ever hold in your mind. Because here is the thing about ice that deep. It is heavy. Almost unimaginably heavy. And weight, as you know, presses down. Lean hard enough on anything for long enough, and it gives a little. And that is exactly what has happened here. The ice is so heavy, and there is so much of it, piled so deep, that its own weight has pressed the land beneath it downward. Slowly, over ages beyond counting, the enormous load has pushed the solid rock of the continent down into the earth. Think of that softly. Not the sea rushing in, nothing like that. Just the land itself, the bedrock, the very foundation of the continent, quietly bowed under the weight resting upon it, the way a mattress dips beneath you when you lie down on it. It's a slow thing, this pressing. It doesn't happen in a moment, or a year, or a lifetime. It happens across such enormous stretches of time that the land has simply, gradually, given way, the way anything gives way when something patient and heavy rests upon it for long enough. There is no violence in it at all, only weight and time and the quiet settling of a continent beneath its own frozen load. And now the part that makes it a comfort, rather than a burden. The land is not ruined down there. It is not broken. It is only held. If you could somehow lift all that ice away, the continent would not stay where it is. It would rise. Slowly, over thousands and thousands of years, the bedrock would come back up, out of the hollow it has been resting in, the way a mattress rises again when you finally get out of bed. The land remembers where it was. It has simply been waiting all this time, under something heavy, for the weight to lift. And we know that it will rise, because it is happening right now, somewhere else. Northern Europe was once buried under an ice sheet of its own, about 2 kilometers thick, much like the ice here. That weight pressed the crust down by roughly half a kilometer, and then, more than 10,000 years ago, the ice melted away and the land began, very slowly, to lift. It is still lifting. Right now, tonight, while you are lying there, Scandinavia is rising up out of the Baltic Sea at about a centimeter a year. Finland quietly gains a little more land along its western coast every year than it had the year before. And near the Gulf of Bothnia, where the ice once lay thickest, there are still something like 100 meters left to go. 10,000 years, and it is still coming back up. The land is patient about it. It takes exactly as long as it takes, but it does not forget where it was. And that is what a great weight really does. It doesn't destroy the thing beneath it. It holds it and settles it and asks it to be still for a while. And down there, under all of that, lies the lowest ground anywhere on the surface of the earth. Not in a trench, not in a canyon anyone has ever walked into. It's here, beneath a river of ice called the Denman Glacier in East Antarctica. The rock floor drops to about 3.5 kilometers below the level of the sea, lower than any land anywhere else on the planet, lower than the shores of the Dead Sea by a very long way. It wasn't the weight that put it there. It was carved long ago by ice that moved, grinding slowly back and forth across the stone, deepening the valley a little with every pass. But it is down there all the same, filled to the brim with ice in the cold and the dark. And it has been holding perfectly, absolutely still ever since. Nobody has ever been down there. Between that stone floor and the open sky lie kilometers of solid ice, packed tight, going nowhere. We only know the place exists at all because the ice above it moves in a way that no shallower valley could account for. Too much ice was reaching the coast from too narrow a channel, and the arithmetic simply insisted. It has to be deeper than we thought. So they went looking, and it was. And this is the moment where something quietly shifts. For the whole of this journey, we have been looking outward, across the surface, toward the horizon, up into the dark sky. But now, gently, the direction changes. Now we are looking down. Because everything we have stood on, all that cold and bright and windswept surface, turns out to be only the very top of something that reaches down for kilometers. And far beneath it, the ancient land, pressed low, resting in the dark. The looking out is a daytime sort of thing, all horizons and distances and far-off edges. But the looking down, the sinking inward, toward the deep and quiet places, belongs to the end of the day, to this hour, to the slow turn toward sleep. Let yourself sink toward that, just a little, the way you sink toward sleep, down off the surface, then through the pale, bright skin of the sheet, deeper into the blue, and then the deeper blue, and then the dark, where the ice grows old, and still, and perfectly silent. Farther down, past depths no light has ever touched, all the way to where the most ancient ice comes to rest against the pressed down stone. There's no hurry in it. Nothing pulls at you. You simply drift downward, slowly, through kilometers of quiet, toward the deep and patient bottom of it all. And nothing in those depths is waiting to disturb you. It's only frost and stone and stillness all the way to the bottom. A place with no sound and no motion and no light that has been resting exactly as it is for longer than there have been eyes to see it. You can go all the way to the bottom of it in your mind and find nothing there but the deepest, oldest quiet in the world. Somewhere on this restless, noisy planet, there is a place so remote and so untouched that nothing ever happens there at all. No news reaches it, no hurry, only cold and stone and the long, unbroken calm of a world at complete rest. There is a strange comfort in weight. You feel it every night. The pleasant heaviness of a blanket pressing you softly down into the bed. The way your own body grows heavy as sleep draws near, sinking deeper into whatever holds it. The right kind of weight isn't a burden at all. It settles you. It says quietly, you can stop bracing now. You can let go and be held. A child wrapped snugly, a hand resting on your shoulder, the heavy warmth of a quilt on a cold night. Something in us softens the moment we feel that weight, the moment we are given permission to stop lifting ourselves and simply rest under something larger. And the land beneath all that ice knows that comfort better than anything alive. It has been held and pressed and settled for so long that stillness is simply what it is now. It asks for nothing. It waits for nothing. It has become, over the ages, a perfect image of rest. That is the strange grace of a great weight. It doesn't have to try. It simply rests, and in resting, it holds everything beneath it perfectly still. So tonight, as you lie there beneath your own gentle weight, you might feel a small kinship with that buried land, pressed quietly down, held, asked to do nothing at all but rest beneath something vast and patient and quiet. Nothing to hold up, nothing to carry. You don't have to keep any of that. The kilometers, the numbers, the pressed down stone. Let it all sink and settle and go quiet. And what's left, when everything else is gone, is only the weight itself, the deep, settled calm of a great weight at rest, and you, resting alongside it, beneath a gentle weight of your own. Nothing is holding you up tonight. Something is holding you down, and that is a kinder thing entirely. A desert made of ice. Those two words don't seem to belong together, a desert and ice. When we hear the word desert, we picture heat, sand dunes rolling away under a blazing sun, hot wind and shimmering air, and not a drop of water anywhere. And when we picture ice, we picture the very opposite. Cold and white and frozen water as far as the eye can see. So how could Antarctica, a continent buried under kilometers of ice, possibly be a desert? It sounds like a contradiction. And yet it's true. Antarctica is a desert. In fact, it is the largest desert on the whole of the Earth. It's one of those facts that sounds almost like a riddle the first time you hear it. The coldest, iciest, most frozen place there is, and also the driest of all. But the two fit together far more neatly than you would think. So tonight, gently, let's unravel that little puzzle and see how a place made almost entirely of frozen water can also be one of the driest places anywhere. Here's the key to it, and it's really just a small shift in how we think about a single word. A desert isn't about heat at all, and it isn't about sand. A desert is about dryness, about how little water falls from the sky. That's the whole of the definition. Forget the sun, forget the sand, forget the heat entirely. A desert, at heart, is just a dry place, a place the rain forgets. It can be scorching, or it can be freezing. It can be gold, or it can be white. The only thing that truly makes it a desert is the sky above it, and how rarely that sky ever gives anything back to the ground below. There's even a line drawn for it. If a place receives less than 250 millimeters of water in a year, in whatever form it happens to arrive, it counts as a desert. That's the whole test. And out on the high interior plateau of Antarctica, the vast frozen heart of the continent, the sky gives back less than 50 millimeters a year, a fifth of the line. That places it in the same category as the Sahara, as the Atacama, among the driest ground anywhere on the face of the earth. The air up there is so cold that it can barely hold any moisture at all, and so barely any moisture ever falls. Stand out on the plateau for a whole year, and you might see less water come down from the sky than you would see fall on an ordinary afternoon back home. It's a strange thing to picture. Snow that behaves almost like the memory of snow. Not the thick, tumbling flurries most of us know, but the faintest sifting of crystals out of a clear, cold sky, so fine and so slow that you could stand and watch for a long while and hardly catch it falling at all. The interior of Antarctica isn't a land of blizzards most of the time. It's a land of an enormous, parched, patient stillness, where the sky holds almost nothing and gives almost nothing, year upon year upon year. And there is a name for the way it comes down out there. On the coldest, clearest days, when there is no cloud anywhere overhead, the air itself will quietly give up the last trace of moisture it has. Tiny crystals of ice form out of nothing, high above, and drift slowly down through air so still that they seem almost to hang in it. It is falling from a clear sky. There is nothing up there for it to have fallen from. They call it diamond dust. And when the light catches it, the crystals throw great rings and halos around the sun and around the moon, so that the whole empty sky seems to be quietly wearing jewelry. That is what passes for weather in the driest place on earth. Not a storm, not a squall, just a little dust made of diamonds, sifting out of an empty blue and settling without a sound. So this raises a rather wonderful question. If it almost never snows here, then where did all that ice come from? All those kilometers of it we sat with a little while ago. And the answer is one of the most patient things in all of nature. The ice didn't come from heavy snowfall. It came from almost no snowfall at all, continued without ever stopping for an unimaginably long time. A few flakes settling and not melting away. A few more the next year, and the next, and the next, over hundreds of thousands of years, and then millions, each thin whisper of snow gently pressing down on the one before it, until it packed itself into solid ice, kilometers deep. It isn't a story of storms, it's a story of patience. That whole vast ice sheet is really just the sum of a great many almost nothings, gathered slowly over an almost unthinkable stretch of time. Something so enormous and so heavy and so deep, built entirely out of the smallest and gentlest events. One faint snowfall at a time, none of them hurrying, none of them meaning to build anything at all. Just falling and staying and being pressed by the next. The largest things are so often made of the smallest and softest ones, laid down patiently over more time than we can picture. Now, if you wanted to find the very driest heart of this cold desert, there is one place that stands out above all the rest. Along one stretch of the continent, there are valleys where there is no ice at all, bare rock, dry soil, open ground in Antarctica, with no snow covering it whatsoever. They're called the McMurdo Dry Valleys, and they are the largest ice-free area on the whole continent and among the coldest and driest deserts anywhere on Earth. But the simple story is not the true one, and the true one is stranger. It isn't quite that nothing falls there. Snow does come. Not much and not often, but it comes. It simply isn't allowed to stay. The wind comes down off the plateau, the same wind we followed earlier, dry as bone and moving fast, and it takes the snow away, not by melting it. It's far too cold out there for melting. The snow sublimates. It passes straight from ice into vapor without ever once becoming water, and it lifts off the ground and goes up into the air and is simply gone. Sometimes the whole thing is over in hours. So the dry valleys are not a place where nothing has ever fallen. They are a place where nothing has ever been allowed to stay. Every flake that lands is quietly undone. The ground is not empty because the sky forgot it. The ground is empty because it is swept over and over by a wind that never stops sweeping. And the remarkable thing isn't only how dry they are, it's how long they have stayed that way. As best anyone can tell, rain, actual liquid rain falling out of the sky, has not touched parts of that ground in something close to 2 million years. That figure is an estimate, not a measurement. Nobody was standing there with a notebook, and nature rarely deals in perfect absolutes. But it is the best we have, and it is very hard to shake off. 2 million years. Longer than there have been people of our kind anywhere on the earth. Think of everything that has changed elsewhere across those 2 million years. Whole kinds of creatures rising and vanishing. Ice ages arriving and easing away. The slow drift of the continents, the lifting of mountains, the turning of the entire human story from its very first beginnings. And through all of it, in these few dry valleys, almost nothing. The same stones, in the same places, under the same cold and cloudless sky. A stillness so long and so complete that the whole restless history of the world has simply passed it by. Picture that, softly. A valley of dry stone at the bottom of the world. No ice, no snow, no plants, no water, no movement of any kind. Only bare rock and cold, dry air, and a silence that has gone unbroken for longer than our whole human story. A pocket of pure, ancient dryness sitting patiently in the cold. These valleys are so cold and so dry and so bare that scientists sometimes look at them and think of somewhere else entirely, because in their emptiness and their dryness and their frozen stillness, the dry valleys resemble the surface of Mars more closely than almost anywhere else on our own planet. And so they have become a kind of natural laboratory, a quiet place to wonder how and whether life might hold on in conditions as hard as these, here or one day somewhere else. A corner of our own planet so bare and so extreme that we look to it to imagine other worlds, as though, Without ever leaving the earth at all, you could stand in one of these valleys and catch some faint, cold taste of what it might be to stand somewhere impossibly far away beneath a different sky. But that is a question for another night. Tonight, we can simply let the valleys be what they are: silent, ancient, dry. 3 small words, and yet they hold a place older and stranger than almost anywhere else you will ever hear of. Somewhere so still and so unchanging that 2 million years can pass and leave it very nearly the same. No seasons of growth and decay, no storms rewriting the landscape, just the same dry stones and the same cold air and the same enormous quiet, holding steady across a stretch of time we can barely imagine. Nothing there needs anything. Nothing is waiting or hurrying or wearing itself away. It simply is exactly as it has been for longer than we can hold in our minds. We so rarely meet anything like that in our own lives. Everything around us is always changing, always moving, always asking to be kept up with. But here is a place that asks for none of it, a place that found a kind of perfect rest long ago and has simply held it patiently while the ages rolled past. And knowing it is there changes something, just a little. It means that rest like that is possible. Deep, complete, unbothered rest. If a whole valley can hold it for 2 million years, then surely you can hold it for one single night. So borrow a little of that stillness tonight, the permission to simply be, without changing, without doing, without going anywhere at all. To lie still, like a silent valley in the dark, and let the hours pass over you quietly, and ask nothing of yourself at all but rest. You have carried enough today, kept up with enough, changed enough, done enough. For now, you can set all of it down and be as still as a dry valley in the dark, where nothing needs to happen and nothing has to change, and the only thing left to do is rest. You don't have to keep any of that. Let it lift off and vanish into the air, the way the snow does out there. A continent of ice that almost never snows. A hidden valley of bare, ancient stone, and the long, dry, patient quiet of the driest desert in the world. 2 million years, and nothing has needed to happen there yet. Tonight, nothing needs to happen here either, where nothing lives. That's a heavy-sounding title, so let me set your mind at ease about it, gently, before we begin. Tonight isn't about endings. It's about edges, something quieter and stranger and rather beautiful than the title makes it sound. It's going to be about a boundary, about finding the very edge of the living world, the place where life, which reaches into almost every corner of this planet, finally thins out and fades and comes to a soft and complete stop. There are very few places anywhere like that, and one of the truest of them is here. Almost nowhere on Earth can you stand at the true edge of the living world. Almost everywhere, life is simply everywhere, so thick and so constant that we forget it is there at all. But here, gently, we get to walk right up to its farthest boundary and look out past it into a stillness that life has never quite reached. Let's begin with the plants, because greenery is the first thing most of us look for in a place. Some growing thing, some sign of life we can see. And here, there is almost none of it. less than 1% of the whole continent is free of ice, which means there is almost no bare ground for anything to take root in at all. And in those few ice-free patches, the plants that manage to hold on are small and low and astonishingly hardy. Mosses, lichens, liverworts, little cushions and crusts of green and gray clinging to the rock near the coast. There are no trees here, no shrubs, no grass swaying in a meadow, nothing that reaches higher than your ankle. The tallest growing things on the whole of this continent are soft, low mats of green pressed close against the stone. A whole continent, larger than Europe, with no forests, no fields, no gardens. Nothing that grows tall enough to cast a shadow. All the greenery of the entire place could be gathered into a few scattered low cushions on the coastal rocks. And even those grow so slowly and keep so still that a patch no bigger than your hand might have been sitting there, unchanged, for far longer than you would ever guess. That scarcity has a quiet beauty to it. In a place with so little life, every small living thing becomes precious and rare and worth pausing over. A patch of moss like a small green miracle. A smear of lichen on a stone like a tiny, stubborn flag, planted at the very edge of what is possible. And even those are found only at the very edges, because this is the thing to understand about life in Antarctica. It hugs the coast. Down near the sea, where it is a little warmer, a little wetter, a little kinder, life gathers. The mosses, the lichens, the countless tiny things too small to see. But as you move away from the coast and up toward the high, cold, dry interior we have spent so much of tonight in, life begins to thin and thin and thin, until, out in the deep interior, across that vast frozen plateau, there is very nearly nothing left alive at all. You could picture it almost like a tide. Life pooled around the rim of the continent, lapping at the coast, and then reaching inland only so far before it draws back. The farther in you go, the thinner it spreads, the fewer and smaller and hardier the survivors become, until somewhere out on that high white plateau, the tide of life simply runs out of reach and stops, and beyond it lies only the cold and the ice and the silence. It isn't hard to see why, once you remember what we've learned tonight. Life, almost any life, needs three simple things. It needs some warmth, or at least a rest from endless killing cold. It needs liquid water, something to drink, something to live within. And it needs nutrients, some food, something to build itself from. And the deep interior of Antarctica offers almost none of them. The cold is relentless. The water is nearly all locked away as ice, with almost nothing liquid to be found. And the nutrients are scarce to the very point of absence. Take away warmth and water and food, and you take away the foundations that every living thing is built upon. There is no cruelty in it. The interior isn't hostile exactly, the way we sometimes imagine hard places to be. It is simply empty of the things that life is made from, like a room with no air or a well with no water. Nothing is being kept out. There is just, quietly, too little there to hold a creature together. And in the very hardest corner of it, high above the dry valleys we walked through a little while ago, there is a place called University Valley. It sits well over a kilometer up. The average temperature is around -23. And as far as anyone can tell, it has been cold and dry there, without a break, for more than 150,000 years. Researchers drilled into the frozen ground of that valley and brought up cores of soil, and then they went looking, very carefully, for life. Not for animals, not for plants, for microbes, for the tiny, tough, single-celled things that manage to cling on almost everywhere else on Earth, in boiling springs, in deep rock, in acid, in radiation, in the driest of deserts. Wherever there is the faintest chance, something living usually finds a way. And in those soils, with all their instruments, they could not detect any life at work at all. No metabolism, no activity, no sign that anything down there was doing anything. But here's the part that is stranger and softer than simply finding nothing. They did find genetic material. There was DNA in that soil. It just doesn't appear to belong there. It seems to have blown in from somewhere else on the wind and settled and stayed, long finished or simply dormant. And in all the time it has been lying there, nothing has ever started up. Life had arrived. It simply never woke. And the reason, they think, isn't the cold. Not really. It's the water. There's almost no liquid water in that ground at all, and a living thing needs somewhere for its chemistry to happen, something to dissolve in, somewhere to be. The valley has cold and stone, and even a little carbon. It just has nowhere for anything to take place. So that soil may be as close as anyone has ever come to finding ground with no living thing at work in it, anywhere on the surface of this whole crowded planet. Sit with that softly, not as something sad, as something almost sacred. Everywhere else you have ever stood, everywhere you have ever walked, the ground beneath you has been quietly teeming, crowded with more small living things than you could ever count. But up there, in that one cold valley, it seems the living world may finally have run out. You would be standing at the very edge of life itself, somewhere so still that not one creature shares the ground with you. No insect, no seed, no unseen swarm of tiny life underfoot. Only you and the stone and the cold and an emptiness so complete and so ancient that it takes on a vastness of its own, like standing at the shore of an ocean and looking out at water with no far side. And even that emptiness is part of the same living world. The edge of a thing still belongs to the thing. This silent ground is simply where our warm, crowded, teeming planet quietly draws its own outline and shows us, for once, exactly where it ends. And yet, look up from that soil at the walls of the very same valley, and something is living there, inside the rock, not on it, in it. A millimeter or two beneath the surface of the sandstone, where a thin trace of light still reaches and a little moisture is held against the cold, there are microbes, quietly alive, in the stone itself. The floor of the valley has nothing at work in it. The walls above it do. Life did not give up on that place. It simply went inside. Now, here is the part that matters most, and I want to be careful and clear about it. This does not mean that Antarctica is dead. It isn't. Not at all. Away from those few most extreme corners, life clings on all across this continent in ways that are astonishing. Hardy microbes live inside solid rock and inside the ice itself. Tiny algae bloom across the snow, tinting it faint green and red. Tough, patient, microscopic creatures endure in the soil and the meltwater, in places you would swear nothing could. Life here is quiet and small and endlessly clever. It doesn't roar or bloom or spread the way it does in warmer places. It just holds on, in the cracks and the corners, patient and unbothered, doing the oldest work there is, which is simply to continue. There is a kind of courage in that, if a small creature can be said to have courage. The courage to persist in the hardest place there is, asking for almost nothing at all, and quietly refusing to disappear. Antarctica is not a lifeless world. It is a living one, just barely, and just quietly, and just at its edges. What makes it so extraordinary is not that nothing lives here. It's that here, and perhaps almost only here, you can actually find the boundary. The place where the endless, stubborn, everywhere life of Earth finally reaches its limit and quietly stops. And once the weight of the word lifts off it, that boundary turns out to be peaceful. Almost everywhere in the world, life is a kind of pressure, a constant, busy hum, growing and reaching and consuming and multiplying, never quite still. But out there, in the deep interior, that hum finally falls silent. There is a stillness in those barren places that exists almost nowhere else. The deep, complete, uncrowded quiet of ground where nothing is beginning, and nothing is ending, and nothing is straining to hold on. Only cold and stone and rest. We don't often think of emptiness as peaceful. We tend to fear it a little. The empty room, the blank page, the silence on the far end of the line. But there is another kind of emptiness, the kind you find here, that isn't a lack at all. It's a completeness, a place so entirely at peace that it doesn't need a single creature to fill it. It is simply, perfectly, enough, exactly as it is, cold and bare and still, beneath the slow turning of the sky. And maybe that is a stillness worth borrowing, just for tonight. Not the stillness of an ending, but the stillness of a place that has simply, finally, come to rest. You don't have to grow tonight. You don't have to strive or survive or become anything at all. You can let all of that quiet effort go, just for a while, and be as still and as peaceful as the emptiest, oldest ground on Earth. There is nothing you need to keep alive tonight, no effort you have to keep up. For these few hours, you can let the whole busy work of living rest and simply be here, quiet and safe and held gently by the dark. You don't have to keep any of that. Let it settle and go quiet, the way everything does out there. A living world, thinning to its very edge, a little ancient, silent soil, and the deep, uncrowded quiet of the one place where life reaches its farthest edge and quietly comes to rest. The busiest thing for 1,000 miles tonight is your own slow breathing. Let even that go quiet. Light in the darkness. For most of tonight, we have been sitting in the dark, the long polar night, the sun gone for months, the cold gathering, and the interior lying empty and silent beneath a sky full of stars. It has been a deep and beautiful darkness. But it isn't the whole of the story. Because sometimes, into that darkness, without any warning at all, comes one of the most extraordinary sights on the whole of the earth. The sky itself begins to glow. It's the one thing that seems to break every rule of this place. Everything else here has been about absence. The absence of warmth, of water, of daylight, of life. But this is something arriving. A gift of a kind, unfolding silently overhead. Let's watch it happen, gently. Imagine you are standing out on the ice in the deep of the polar night. Above you, the stars, sharp and still. And then, low on the horizon, something changes. A faint band of pale green where there had been only black before. At first you might think it's a cloud catching some far-off light, but it isn't. It brightens, it lifts, it begins very slowly to move, to ripple and fold, and drift across the sky like a great silent curtain hung from the stars. Green, mostly, a soft, glowing green, but with edges sometimes of deep red or a faint and shifting violet. It doesn't rush, it doesn't make a sound. It simply pours itself, slowly, across the dark, folding and unfolding, brightening and fading, in a silence so complete you can almost hear your own heart. It might go on like that for a long while, or fade after only a few minutes. It might hang as a single quiet band, or fill the entire sky, curtain behind curtain, all the way up to a point directly overhead, so that you seem to be standing at the bottom of a vast, slow, glowing dome. It shifts constantly, but never sharply. Everything about it is unhurried. A soft brightening here, a slow fold there, light pouring downward and sideways and back again, like something alive that has all the time in the world. And the strangest part, for anyone used to fireworks or thunder, is how utterly quiet it all is. Something that fills the whole sky and moves and blazes and makes not a single sound, only light and silence and the slow, cold air. This is the aurora. In the far south, we call it the aurora australis, the southern lights. It is the exact twin of the more famous northern lights, the aurora borealis, only seen from the bottom of the world instead of the top. The same great glow wrapped around the other end of the earth. People travel across whole continents and wait out in the cold for hours and count themselves lucky to catch even a glimpse of it. And here, over the frozen south, on the right dark winter night, it can fill the sky as though it were the most ordinary thing in the world. And here is the wonderful thing about where it comes from. That light overhead isn't made on Earth at all. It is made by the sun, the very same sun that has been missing from the sky for months. The sun is always streaming out a constant, invisible wind of tiny charged particles, flowing away in every direction across space. Some of that stream reaches the Earth, and when it does, our planet's magnetic field, the invisible force that wraps around the whole of the world, takes hold of it and steers it and draws it down toward the two magnetic poles. But here is the curious part. The particles never quite arrive at the pole itself. They come down in a great ring around it. Picture a crown hung in the sky, circling the magnetic pole at a little distance, glowing all the way around. Scientists call it the auroral oval. There is one crowning the north and one crowning the south, and the southern one sits right over this continent and the dark ocean that surrounds it. So the lights are not scattered at random across the globe. They keep to their two great rings, glowing steadily around the poles, night after night, even when nobody at all is there to see, and the two crowns light together. When the sun sends its burst, both rings brighten at the same moment. They are the two ends of the same magnetic thread, and what happens at one end happens at the other. For a long time, it was simply assumed that they must be perfect mirrors of one another. The same shapes, the same folds, the same slow curtains, in the same places, at the top and the bottom of the world. But when we finally managed to photograph both of them at once, from space, they did not match. They were out of step, twisted apart, sitting in slightly different places, wearing slightly different shapes. It turns out that the sun's own magnetic field presses on ours from an angle and squeezes it unevenly and pulls the two crowns out of alignment with each other. And then, slowly, as the solar wind flows on past the Earth and away, they drift back toward each other. The shapes ease into line. The folds begin to fall into step. Not perfectly. They never quite manage perfectly, but close. Close enough that the two crowns hang there at opposite ends of the world, glowing in silence, thousands of kilometers apart, very nearly mirrors of one another once again. There is one more thing about the southern one. The northern ring passes over Norway and Sweden and Finland and Canada and Alaska, over towns, over roads, over people with cameras standing in the snow, looking up. The southern ring passes over Antarctica and the empty ocean around it. They happen just as often as each other. But when 1,000 people are standing out in the cold in Norway tonight, watching the sky ripple green above them, the very same thing is happening down here, at the other end of the world, at that very moment. And almost nobody is watching it at all. It goes on anyway. And down through that ring the particles fall, higher up than any mountain, generally somewhere above 90 kilometers, into the thin upper edge of our air. And there they strike the oxygen and the nitrogen that the air is made of. And when they strike, those gases take in the energy of the collision, and then they let it go again, as light. That is all the aurora really is. The air itself, high above the world, glowing softly, where the sun's own particles have come to touch it. It's worth sitting with the size of that journey for a moment. Those tiny particles began at the surface of the sun, some 150 million kilometers away. They crossed all that cold, black emptiness for a day or two or three, drifting outward through nothing at all. They reached our small blue world, were caught by its unseen magnetic field, and drawn gently all the way down toward one frozen place at the very bottom of it. And their whole long voyage ends silently as a soft green light in the heavens above a sleeping continent. All of that just to make the darkness beautiful for a while. The sun, gone from the sky for half a year, still finding a way to light it. Its particles crossing all that dark and empty space, meeting the Earth's magnetic field and being carried down toward the skies above the poles. Even in the deepest darkness, the sun leaves a little light behind. It doesn't abandon this place, not entirely, even through its longest night. It keeps sending something, a quiet signal, a soft, distant hello, painted across the dark, asking for nothing at all in return. And the colors it makes depend on a simple thing: which gas is glowing and how high up it is. That soft green, the most common color of all, comes from oxygen, glowing at one particular height. The deep reds come from oxygen too, but far higher up, where the air is thinner and rarer. And the violets and the blues come from nitrogen. So the whole shifting palette of the aurora, the green, the red, the violet, is really just the high air itself, telling you, in color, exactly what it is made of and how far above the world it hangs. And no two displays are ever quite the same. One night, it might be a single, calm ribbon of green. Another, a whole heaven of green shot through with crimson along its upper edges. Another still, faint and pale and barely there. A soft, luminous mist you're not quite sure you're really seeing. It is never fixed, never repeated, never still for long. A slow, silent painting that unpaints itself and then begins again. And there is one more thing that makes this place perfect for it. The aurora is happening almost all the time. The sun's particles are always arriving. The high air is always ready to glow. But you can only see it when the sky is dark. In the bright half of the year, the daylight simply washes it out. And so, the long, dark polar night, the very thing that makes this place feel so empty and so cold, turns out to be exactly what you need in order to see its most beautiful sight. The darkness isn't the absence of the light. The darkness is the thing that lets you see it. That is a rather perfect thing to rest with tonight. That the darkest, coldest, emptiest place on earth is also, in its long night, one of the finest places anywhere to watch the whole sky fill with silent, drifting color. That the very same darkness we have been sitting in all this time is the thing that reveals the light. Nothing here is only one thing. The empty plateau holds the most beautiful of skies. The long night holds the brightest glow. The stars need the dark to be seen. So does the aurora. Some lights only appear once everything else has gone quiet and dim. And maybe that is worth remembering on any dark night at all, your own included. So let yourself lie there for a moment beneath that imagined sky, the stars still and sharp, and the slow green light folding and unfolding overhead in perfect silence, asking nothing of you, going nowhere in a hurry. Let it be the ceiling of the room you are resting in tonight, a slow, green, living ceiling, drifting far overhead, keeping its silent watch while you let go of the day. You don't have to watch it closely. You don't have to stay awake for it. You can simply let it drift above you, soft and green and endless, the way the northern and southern skies have glowed, quietly, for far longer than anyone has been alive to see them. You don't have to keep any of that, the particles, the distances, the field. Let it all go, and keep only the glow. There's nothing to do with a light like that, but let it wash over you. It doesn't ask to be understood, or held, or kept. It only asks to be watched quietly through half-closed eyes until watching turns slowly into dreaming, and the green glow overhead becomes the last thing you remember before sleep. A dark sky and a silent light. The sun's last gift, glowing gently over the bottom of the world. It will go on folding and unfolding up there whether your eyes stay open or not, so let them close. The only lights in Antarctica. A little while ago, we watched the great light of the sky, the aurora drifting green and silent overhead. Now let's turn our eyes downward from that light in the heavens to a few far fainter ones scattered far below it. Because across all that cold and frozen ground, there are a handful of other lights, tiny ones, warm ones, the faint glow of windows here and there in the endless black. They are the only lights of their kind on the whole continent, and there are astonishingly few of them. Two kinds of light, then, share this dark continent through its winter. The great, silent, natural light of the aurora, painted across the whole sky by the distant sun, and these other, humbler ones, close to the ground, made by people, shining out of a few lit windows into the enormous night. Tonight, it's these smaller lights we are going to sit with, and the vast, quiet distances that lie between them. They don't pretend the darkness isn't there. They don't fill the sky the way a city's glow does, washing out the stars. They are far too small and too far apart for that. Each one just marks a single point of human warmth and leaves all the rest of the night exactly as dark and as vast and as old as it has always been. Here is something that sets Antarctica apart from every other continent on Earth. No one lives here. Not really. There are no cities, no towns, no villages. There is no one who was born on this ice, no one who grew up here, no one whose family has lived here for generations, no one who calls it simply home. Every single person in Antarctica is a visitor. They come from somewhere else for a season or a year to work at one of the scattered research stations, the little clusters of buildings where people study the ice and the sky and the cold. And then, when their time is done, they leave again. The continent has no people of its own, only guests passing through, and the few lights they bring with them for a while. Every other continent has its long human story woven right into the land, its cities grown up over centuries, its lights that have burned somewhere every single night for as far back as memory reaches. But not here. Here, the lights are new and few and temporary. Switch off the stations and send everyone home, and the continent would go completely dark again, as dark as it was through all the long ages before anyone ever came. It would hardly notice we had gone. And there are so few of them. Think back to how large this place is, larger than all of Europe. And then consider that, through the long winter, across that entire vast continent, only around 1,000 people remain. 1,000. On a landmass bigger than Europe. If you could somehow gather every human being who winters in Antarctica into a single room, they would fit into a modest theater with seats to spare. That is everyone. On the whole of the bottom of the world. It's a number worth pausing on because it turns upside down almost everything we usually assume. We are so used to being the crowd, to cities that never sleep, and roads that never empty, and a world that feels everywhere, full of us. But here is an entire continent where we are the rarest thing of all, where a single person might be the only one for hundreds of miles in any direction, where the land is vast and old and indifferent, and we are the small, brief, flickering visitors. And once the pride of it lets go, there is a strange comfort in being that small. Nothing depends on you out here. The great frozen continent will turn through its night with you or without you, exactly the same. And so you are free, for a little while, to simply be small and warm and at rest, and let the enormous night carry on around you. So picture it, softly, from high above, the sleeping continent turning slowly through its long night, and on all that blackness, just a few tiny points of light, a glow here near the coast, another there, far inland, each one a research station, a little, warm, lit-up island of people, surrounded on every side by hundreds and hundreds of miles of empty, frozen black. The lights don't move, they don't spread, they simply hold steadily, tiny and warm and alone, through the whole long winter, like a handful of embers scattered across a vast black floor. You could fly for hour after hour over that darkness and see nothing at all below you. No glow on the horizon, no distant town creeping into view. Only black ice and black sky and the faint line where they meet. And then, at last, far ahead, a single point of light, so small against all that blackness that you might mistake it for a low star. That would be a station, a few dozen people, and their warmth and their light, alone in the middle of an emptiness larger than most countries. Let's rest our eyes on just one of them. High up on the interior plateau, in that cold, dry, empty heart of the continent, there's a station called Concordia. It sits far from the coast, far from everything, more than 3 kilometers up, where the air is thin and the cold runs deepest. In the winter there, the temperature can fall to around minus 80 degrees, and the sun, as we saw earlier, stays down for about 4 months. Through those months, no aircraft can reach it at all. It is too cold to fly, too dark to land. For the better part of 9 months, the station is simply sealed in. 13 people, sometimes 16. That is the entire population. And here is the thing about Concordia that is hard to quite believe. The nearest other human beings are about 600 kilometers away, at a Russian station called Vostok. 600 kilometers of empty, frozen dark between one small light and the next. You could not walk it. You could not drive it. Through the winter, you could not fly it. But that isn't the strangest part. Because when you ask which people are truly closest to Concordia, on any given night, the answer isn't east or west or north or south. It's up. 400 kilometers straight overhead, the International Space Station goes around and around the Earth, and when its orbit carries it above the plateau, the astronauts aboard it are nearer to the crew at Concordia than any other living soul on the planet. 600 kilometers sideways across the ice to Vostok. 400 kilometers straight up into orbit. The nearest people are in space. So there is a third light, after all. Not the slow green light of the aurora, not the small warm light of the windows. A third one, moving, quick and pale and silent, tracking across the stars, and gone again in a few minutes. And for those few minutes, the closest neighbors on Earth are not on Earth at all. Let's go down there now and stand outside it for a moment. It's the middle of the night, though out here that means very little. It has been night for weeks, and it will be night for weeks more. The cold is somewhere far below anything a body could survive uncovered. The station is 2 round towers, joined by a walkway, standing on legs above the snow. From out here, the windows are the only thing in the world. Small yellow rectangles, glowing against the dark, with a soft crust of frost around every edge of the glass. There is a sound. There is always this sound. A low, steady hum from the generator, the one machine that must never stop, carrying across the snow, the only noise for 600 kilometers in any direction. Take that away, and there would be nothing at all. Inside, the corridor lights are dimmed for the night. A coat on a hook, a mug left out. Somewhere, a door clicks shut, and in the small rooms along the calm tower, 13 people are asleep, or trying to be, in a place where the body no longer quite knows what hour it is. And outside, all around them, the plateau, the wind moving low across the snow the way it always does, the stars hard and still, and if the night is kind, the aurora unrolling its slow green curtain overhead, lighting the snow faintly, silently, and asking nobody to come out and watch. The station glows on, the generator hums, and far above it all, that other light crosses the sky and passes and is gone. Sit with that for a moment. A little cluster of lit windows up on the high plateau in the middle of the polar night. Inside, warmth and quiet and a few people going about their days. And outside, in every direction, for 600 kilometers, nothing. It should feel lonely, perhaps. And maybe, for the people there, sometimes it is. But from here, from where you are resting, it is almost unbearably peaceful. A single warm light holding steady in the middle of the largest, quietest darkness on Earth. Not a grand light, not a beacon blazing out to be seen, just a small, ordinary human warmth. A few lit rooms, holding on in a place that has no warmth of its own to give. It doesn't try to push the darkness back. It couldn't, and it doesn't need to. It just keeps its own small circle of light and lets the great dark be the great dark all around it. We all know what that is like, a little. To be one lit window on a sleeping street late at night. One glow of warmth holding on while all the world outside goes quiet and cold and dark. There is no fear in it, really. The dark doesn't threaten the light. It simply surrounds it and makes it precious and lets it be exactly what it is, small and warm and enough. That is all any light in the dark has ever been. Not a victory over the night, just a small, warm place to be, while the night does what the night does. You don't have to light up the whole world. You never did. You only have to be your own small glow in your own quiet corner, and let that be plenty. And that is what you are tonight, in your own way. A small, warm light holding steady in the great, quiet dark. You don't have to shine brightly. You don't have to reach anyone or be reached. There is no one you need to signal. Nowhere your light has to reach. Like those far stations on the ice, you can simply be lit and warm and still, and let the vast, quiet night hold you and ask nothing of you at all. You don't have to keep any of that. Let it go dim and quiet and far away. Somewhere out there, right now, one small station is still glowing beneath the southern sky. Its windows are warm. The generator hums. The aurora moves quietly overhead, and the great white continent keeps turning, slowly, patiently, through its long night. So let your own light go soft now. Let it dim, the way a lamp dims when a hand reaches for the switch, and the room begins, at last, to fill with sleep, beneath the white silence. All night, we have wandered this frozen continent together. We've felt the cold settle over it, and the wind pour down off it. We've watched the white rise up and swallow it, and the long dark fall across it, and the green light drift above it, and the few small lamps of its stations glow within it. We have come to know this place about as well as a person can from far away, in the dark, drifting toward sleep. But there is one thing we have never done. We have never once looked beneath it. Everything we have seen has happened up here, on the surface, on the thin, bright skin of the ice, the cold, the wind, the whiteouts, the aurora, the scattered lights, all of it belongs to the top, to the roof of the continent. We have spent this whole night walking across the lid of something without ever once lifting it to see what lies inside. Like knowing the cover of a book, its color and its weight in your hands, without ever once opening it to read a single page. We have held this whole continent in our minds all this time as a thing of cold and wind and light, and all along that was only the lid. So tonight, gently, let's stand still for a moment on the surface, and then let's look down. You remember what we learned about the weight of the ice, that it isn't a thin coating at all, but a vast, deep body, kilometers thick, reaching down almost 5 kilometers at its deepest. Try to feel that depth just for a moment, not as a number, but as a direction, straight down, past the bright snow at the top, into the blue, and the deeper blue, and then the black. Kilometer after kilometer of ancient, silent ice, pressed hard and clear and cold, reaching down further than most mountains rise. But here's the thing about all that depth that changes everything. It isn't just deep, it's layered. Remember how this ice was made, not by storms, by almost nothing at all, falling year after year and never melting away. A little snow settling, and then a little more the next year, laid down on top of it, and the next, and the next, which means that the ice is not one solid mass. It is a stack, layer upon layer upon layer, each one a single year, laid down in order, pressed thinner and thinner by the weight of everything that came after. And you can see it. That's the thing. Near the top, the layers are still thick enough to look at with your own eyes, the way you can look at the rings inside a tree. A band for the summer, when the snow fell coarse and dusty. A band for the winter, when it fell fine. Year, 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 stacked up and pressed together, going down. Further down, they thin and thin, until, near the bottom, a whole century may be squeezed into something no thicker than a fingernail, and you would need instruments to find the years at all. But they are still in there, every single one of them, in order, in the dark. And so, to go down into it is to go backward. Every meter you descend, you are moving further into the past. The snow at the surface fell in your own lifetime, a little deeper, and it fell before you were born. Deeper still, before your grandparents were born, and their grandparents, and so on, down through the dark, one silent year at a time. Keep going, past the last few centuries, past the whole of anything anyone has written down, past the first cities and the first fields and the first fires anyone gathered around, and still the ice goes down, and still the years keep coming, older and older, in perfect order, in perfect silence, long after there is anybody left in the story to remember any of them. There is no gap in it. That is the strange and lovely part. It is not a scattering of fragments. It is a single, unbroken thread, from tonight, all the way back. They have gone down there, you know. They have drilled. Do you remember Concordia? That one lit station out on the high plateau, with the frost on its windows and the generator humming in the dark. Some 35 kilometers from it, on the same wide dome of ice, a drill has been going down for years. It is slow work, and there is something almost gentle about it. 16 people out on the ice from 8 in the morning until midnight, working in 2 shifts. The drill goes down. It bites off 4 meters of ice. It comes back up. The core is eased out of the barrel, cut into pieces, and laid carefully aside. And then the drill goes down again, 4 meters at a time. And with every one of those 4 meters near the bottom, they are reaching back another 60,000 years. The first great core they brought up reached back 800,000 years. 800,000 years of weather and seasons and quiet snowfall held in order in a single column of ice. And then, just recently, they went deeper, all the way down to the rock, 2,800 meters of it, drawn up 4 meters at a time. And in that column of ice lies a continuous record of the world going back more than 1 million years. Perhaps a good deal more. Down near the bottom, the layers are squeezed so thin that a single meter of ice may hold 15,000 years inside it. 15,000 years, in a length you could measure with your arms. And the stone beneath it, the rock the drill finally touched, has not felt open air in something like 1.5 million years. But here's the part worth carrying with you into sleep. Trapped inside that ice, all the way down, are bubbles. Millions upon millions of tiny bubbles. And each one holds air. Not air like ours. The actual air. The real atmosphere of that year, caught in the falling snow, sealed in as the snow was buried and squeezed and turned to ice, and held there, unchanged, ever since. There is air down there that was breathed before there were people to breathe it. The ice has been holding it all this time, quietly, faithfully. A whole continent holding its breath for 1 million years, keeping every one of those small, ordinary days exactly as it was. Think about what that means, softly. Somewhere down in that column, sealed in a bubble the size of a grain of sand, is a mouthful of air from an ordinary afternoon, 600,000 years ago. Nobody remembers that afternoon. Nobody ever did. It was not important. The wind blew, some snow came down, and the air of that day was caught in it and buried, and it has been waiting there, in the dark, perfectly intact, ever since. There are millions of those afternoons down there, whole ages of ordinary weather, held in the ice like breath held in a chest. Nothing down there has been lost. It has only been kept. But it does not give any of it up easily. Because down at those depths, the air in those bubbles is under enormous pressure. 50 times the pressure of the air you are breathing right now, pressed into a pocket the size of a grain of sand, and held there. And when the drill brings that ice up into the open air, the ice cannot hold it any longer. It cracks, it splits, it pops and snaps and shatters on the table as all that ancient air, released at last, tears its way out of the ice that has been keeping it. The people who work with it say you have to handle it like eggs. They wrap the cores in netting. They set them aside for months, in the cold and the dark, and simply let them rest until the ice has calmed enough to be cut. There is a name for that stretch. They call it the brittle zone. It runs, roughly, from half a kilometer down to about a kilometer, and it is the hardest ice in the whole column to bring home in one piece. But keep going. That's the part worth staying awake for, just a moment longer. Because deeper than about a kilometer, the pressure grows so great that something quietly extraordinary happens. The bubbles stop being bubbles. The air is pressed so hard that it goes into the ice itself, into the crystal, and disappears. There is nothing left to burst. And that ice, the oldest and deepest ice of all, comes up whole. It doesn't crack. It doesn't fight. It has already taken everything that was pressing on it and made it part of itself, and now it is simply calm and clear and quiet all the way through. And later, much later, in a cold room far away, when nothing is asking anything of it anymore, it lets go. Slowly, over months, the air comes drifting quietly back out of the crystal, and the bubbles reappear, one by one, and nothing breaks at all. The ice that has been held the longest and the deepest is not the ice that shatters. It is the ice that has gone perfectly still. Now stand with me for a moment at the very edge of it, right at the threshold. Behind you, everything we've come to know, the whole wide, cold, windswept, aurora-lit surface, and before you, going down, the dark, kilometers of ancient ice sinking away beneath your feet into a silence deeper than any we have touched yet. You can feel the pull of it, that gentle, downward pull, the way you feel it at the top of a staircase in a quiet house late at night, when everything below is dark and still, and some part of you simply wants to go down and down into the deep and silent heart of the place. There is no fear in that pull. Not really. It's the same quiet gravity that draws you toward a warm bed at the end of a long day, or toward the still, deep water at the bottom of a calm and shaded pool. A downward longing, a wish to sink and settle and be held by something deep and dark and quiet. The surface has been beautiful, but the surface is also where the wind is, and the cold, and the long exposure to the wide open sky. Down below, there would be none of that. Only stillness, only the deep, unbroken calm of a place the weather can never reach. And there is more down there still. Beneath even the oldest ice, beneath the bubbles and the layers and the pressed down years, there is a whole hidden world we have not begun to touch tonight. It has been waiting a long time. It can wait a little longer. The door is simply open now, and the cool, deep dark is breathing softly out of it, and that is enough to stand at the edge of. So take one more slow, easy breath up here at the threshold. There is no hurry to go any further tonight. You can simply stand here a while at the top of the descent and feel the depth of it waiting below you. The layers, the kept years, the million ordinary afternoons, sealed in the dark, going nowhere at all. Nothing down there is lost. It is only kept. And nothing is lost in you either when you set the day down. It is only kept and held and waiting for you in the morning. So let the surface go now. All of it. The cold, the wind, the white, the light. Let it soften above you, like a bright ceiling slowly receding. Everything above can look after itself for a while. The cold can go on being cold. The wind can go on falling. The far lights can go on glowing without you watching over any of it. You don't have to keep any of that. Let it settle, layer by layer, the way the snow does, and go quiet. A surface known and crossed, a threshold quietly reached, and beneath the white silence, a deep and patient dark, holding a million years of ordinary days and waiting without hurry while you drift. The surface is behind you now. The deep can wait until you are ready for it. Into the ice. That is where we are going now. Not across it this time. Not over it. Into it. Down, off the bright surface we have known all night, and into the deep, and the dark, and the quiet, at last. All this time, we have moved across the top of this place, from edge to edge, learning its cold, and its wind, and its long, quiet, dark. And all that time, without ever quite saying so, we have been getting ready for this. For the last and gentlest and easiest part of the whole journey. The part where we stop moving across and simply begin to sink. Where the going becomes a kind of resting. Where the descent and the sleep become one and the same soft thing. So there is nothing to brace for now, and nothing to reach. This last part isn't really a place we are going to. It is more a letting go we are going to do. A slow, soft, downward drift out of the waking world and into the deep. Nothing left to learn tonight. Nothing left to picture or to understand or to hold. We have done all of that. All that is left now is to let go and to sink and to drift down slowly into the ice and into sleep. So let yourself begin. There is no effort in it. That is the first thing to know. You do not have to push or paddle or try. Sinking is the one kind of travel that asks nothing of you at all. You only have to stop holding yourself up and let the gentle, patient weight of your own tiredness do the rest and carry you down, softly, all on its own. Feel the surface soften beneath you and then release you. That cold, bright, windswept top of the world where we have spent this whole night together. Let it loosen its hold and let yourself begin to sink down through the first thin layer of snow into the pale glowing white just beneath it, and then further into the blue. The ice turns blue as you sink into it, a soft, deep, endless blue, the color of deep water, the color of the last light of evening, closing gently around you as you drift down through it. There is no hurry to it. None at all. You have the whole night. You could take an hour to sink the width of your own hand, if you liked, and it would not matter in the least. So let the descent be as slow as it wants to be, slower than falling, slower than drifting, slow as the ice itself, which has been settling, gently, one soft flake at a time, since long before any of us were here to watch it. There is no cold down here, not for you. The cold belongs to the surface, far up above, growing farther away with every passing moment. You are weightless here, held on every side by the soft blue ice, the way you might be held by deep, still water, or by a warm, heavy quilt drawn up over you on a winter night. Nothing presses, nothing pulls. There is no up and no down that you need to keep track of anymore. There is only the gentle, holding softness of the deep all around you, and the slow, sweet sinking, carrying you further into it with every quiet breath. The light grows dimmer and softer and kinder the deeper you go. The blue darkens slowly toward a deeper blue, and then toward a blue so deep it is almost dark, and then, quietly, toward the dark itself, and still you sink, down and down, through the ancient ice, through layer after layer laid down one gentle snowfall at a time, over ages beyond all counting. You are sinking down through time itself, through winter after silent winter. Every layer you passed through was once a single, silent snowfall, on a single, silent night, ages and ages ago. A soft white winter you will never know, pressed now into clear blue ice, holding perfectly still, holding its long ago quiet, waiting all this time simply to be sunk gently through. Tonight, by you. Down through all of them you go, one ancient winter after another, deeper into the old, blue, patient dark. And the deeper you sink, the older and the calmer and the more still it becomes. The world you left behind, with all its noise and hurry, feels further away with every layer. Down here, nothing rushes, nothing changes, nothing has changed in a very, very long time. You are sinking into the oldest quiet there is, and it folds around you, kindly, and slows you, and stills you, and welcomes you down. And it is quiet here, so quiet. The wind is gone now, far above you. The long dark of the sky is gone. The cold is gone. Even the green light of the aurora and the small far lamps of the stations are gone, left behind on the surface, high overhead. Down here, there is only the deep, close, perfect silence of the ice, wrapped all around you, holding you softly on every side as you sink slowly toward the bottom of everything. Let your breath slow as you go, in and gently out, each breath a little slower than the one before, each one carrying you a little deeper, a little further down, into the soft, dark ice, into the deep quiet, into sleep. There is nothing to hold on to, nothing to reach for. You can let your hands fall loose, and your shoulders grow heavy, and your whole body sink quietly, the way you are sinking through the ice, in and out, in and slowly out. With every breath out, a little more of you settles and softens and lets go. The day loosens its hold, one breath at a time. Your body grows heavier and warmer and further away, and you sink lightly on the long, slow tide of your own breathing, down into the soft, dark ice, down towards sleep, and far below you, deeper than you will go tonight, there is a whole world waiting. A world sealed away beneath all this ice, in the dark, in the silence, kept quiet and secret for longer than anyone could ever say. You do not have to reach it tonight. You do not have to know it yet. You can simply drift toward it, slowly, in the dark, and feel it there, far beneath you, patient and hidden and calm. A deep, sealed, silent world at the very bottom of the ice. There is no need to wonder about it now. No need to reach for it, or picture it, or ask what it holds. It has kept itself, sealed and silent, for longer than there have been minds to wonder at all. It can keep itself a little longer. Tonight, it is enough simply to know that it is there, far below you in the dark, deep and quiet and patient, and that you are drifting, slowly and safely, somewhere high above it, in the soft and holding ice. But that is far below. For now, you are simply here, sinking gently, held in the soft dark of the deep ice, with the surface far above and the deep far below, and nothing at all that you need to do but drift and slow and let go. The ice holds you. The dark holds you. The deep, quiet cold of a whole continent settles softly around you. This is the deepest rest there is, the rest of a thing that has finally stopped and settled and let itself be held. No part of you needs to stay awake now. No part of you needs to keep watch or hold on or carry anything at all. You can set the whole weight of yourself down into the deep, soft dark and let it be carried for you. the way the ice carries everything, patiently, without effort, without end. Feel how safe it is, how completely you are held. There is only the ice and the quiet and the deep, patient calm of a place that has never known a moment of hurry, holding you as gently as anything has ever held you, and asking, in return, only that you rest. So rest, truly rest. Not the light, waiting rest of a pause between things, but the deep, complete, letting go rest of someone who has nowhere at all to be. You have earned it, simply by making it here, to the end of the day, to the bottom of the ice, to the edge of sleep. So let go now, completely. Let the last of the day rise up and away from you, like light fading toward the surface, far overhead. Let your thoughts grow slow and soft and few. Let them drift apart and dim and go quiet, one by one, like small lights going out across a sleeping continent. There is nowhere to be, nothing to finish, no one to answer. Only the deep and the dark and the soft, endless quiet of the ice, holding you calmly. Let the last few thoughts go soft and shapeless now. Let them melt like snow into the quiet. You don't have to keep any of that, not one single thing. Let all of it go. The day is over, and it is all behind you, far up on the bright surface, growing smaller and dimmer with every gentle moment, until it is only a faint pale glow, high, high above, and then not even that. Down and down, and softly down, slower and slower and slower still. Almost nothing is left of the waking world now, just a soft, dim, distant glow, somewhere far, far above, growing fainter with each slow breath. And here, at the bottom, only warmth and dark, and the deep, holding quiet, and you, drifting, at the very edge of a dream, down into the deep, down into the dark, down into the soft, silent, endless quiet at the bottom of it all, where everything is still and everything is safe, and there is nothing left to do and nowhere left to go and nothing left to be, but here and warm and asleep. Somewhere far above, the surface goes on being the surface. The cold goes on. The wind goes on falling, and the long night goes on turning, and the green light drifts now and then across the empty sky. But none of it reaches you here. None of it needs you anymore tonight. You have gone down and in and under, all the way to the soft, dark, silent bottom of it all, where the only thing left in the whole world is your own slow breathing and the deep, warm quiet and rest. Rest now. You have come such a long way, all the way to the bottom of the world, all the way down into the ice, and all the way, lightly, into sleep. There is nothing left now but this, the quiet, the dark, the warmth, and you, safe at the bottom of it all, letting go of the very last of the day. Let the ice have the rest of it. Let it have the day and the cold and the long white night and the last of your waking. It has held far heavier things than this for far longer, and it will hold them all quietly while you sleep.